Hello children, welcome back. So today we are going to start with the topic of coordination compounds, in which we will see how to write the formula and draw the structure of the compounds. Now these kind of questions have often been asked in the board examination, and I am 100% confident that if you just listen to this content carefully, you will be getting full marks in the nomenclature. So let's get going. Let's go to the first example. We have CONH3 4Cl2. Now in this example, the central metal atom is cobalt. This is an ion, so I'll write CMI. Ammonia is a ligand, which is neutral. Okay, so it's a ligand. Chlorine, it's outside the square bracket, means it is the counter ion and it is not a ligand. Now let us write down the oxidation state, students. So chlorine is -1, so that gives you -1 into 2 is -2. Ammonia, as I told you, it is 0. It's a neutral ligand, so you'll be writing 0 charge over here. And then cobalt will be having the oxidation state of +2. So this is an arbitrary compound which we have taken over here. Okay, so it is just an imaginary compound, let's say, I've taken. Otherwise, generally the formula of this compound is mostly like, CONH3 6 times, and then you have Cl3. So if I say the correct compound would be this right hand side one. Anyways, let's name these compounds in a proper way. So firstly, whenever you start naming the compounds, you will first name the ligands, and that also the ligands have to be named in the order of their charge. Like the neutral ligands will be named first, and then you will go to the negative ligands, that also in the alphabetical order. As you can see, in this case there's only one ligand, so this kind of complex in which there is only one type of ligand will be called as homoleptic complex. Okay, so what is homoleptic? That means the only one type of ligand is present inside the coordination entity, whereas if you have different types of ligands in the square bracket, that will be called as heteroleptic complex. So let's go to the nomenclature now. So this is 6 times NH3. So how do you write 6 in chemistry? You write it like hexa, and then ammonia is, as I told you yesterday, it has to be written as amine, so it becomes hexaamine. And then you write cobalt. Now cobalt is in the oxidation state, in this case as +3, because chlorine is -3 and ammonia is 0, so the overall charge has to be +3 for this coordination entity. So it will be hexaamine cobalt 3. You write the 3 in the Roman numeral like this and leave some space, and then write the name of the anion, that is chloride. Okay, so whenever the central metal atom is in the positive bracket, like here it is in the positive, it's a cationic, it's the part of a cation, then you have to name the metal atom as the metal atom itself. Like cobalt should be known as cobalt only. Potassium, sorry, not potassium, let's say iron will be named as iron only. Silver will be named as silver only, and so on. But if it is in the negative part, that means if it is in the anionic bracket, then you will be naming that that metal as 8, ending with 8. Like cobalt becomes cobaltate, iron becomes ferrate, silver becomes argentate, lead becomes plumbate, aluminium becomes aluminate. So in this way you have to modify your name. So this compound is hexaamine cobalt 3 chloride. Let's go to the second one. This is CuSO4.5H2O, which is actually written like this. So here, children, you can see that sulfate is the negatively charged anion. So first write down whatever is outside the square bracket, you write down its oxidation state first. So it is -2. Naturally, for the cationic part, your oxidation state will be +2, right? Water is a neutral ligand, so write the charge of 0. So what is the charge on copper? Naturally, it is going to be +2, because eventually the +2 is the charge on the entire complex. So if I just write it once again for your simplicity, it will be CuH2O. I think it should be 4 times, it should not be 5 times. So there's an error over here. This is 4 times, right? So CuH2O 4 times dot SO4 dot 4H2O, right? So what is this dot? This dot is nothing but the hydrogen bonding, so it can be shown, it's kind of hydrogen bonding, and this kind of thing can be shown as water of crystallization. whenever you have this water of crystallization, you just show that dot over there. And now let's come to the nomenclature, children. So here again it's a homoleptic complex, because we can see that there's only 4 water molecules, so same type of ligands are there. So it will be 4, means it will be tetra. So first write how many times tetra. What is 4 times? Water. How do you write water? You write water as aqua, right? In which bracket is the copper? Is it in the positive bracket or the negative bracket? So as you can see, it is on the left hand side. It is on the left hand side. This is the left hand side. And what is there on the right hand side? The right hand side you have the sulfate. So if it is in the left hand side, you will name it as copper only. You will not name it as cuprate, you will name it as copper. What is the oxidation state? We just now discussed, it is 2. So we will write it in the Roman numeral 2, right? And what is the name of the anion? The name of the anion is sulfate. So just write down sulfate. And there are water molecules also. If you want to write, you can write down tetrahydrate. Tetrahydrate. So this will be the IUPAC nomenclature of this compound. And one important point which I want to tell you is that, remember, between the cation and the anion, the name of the cation and the anion, please leave space. So there has to be a lot of space over here, okay? Just remember, around let's say 0.5 centimeter space you can leave, because they are totally 2 different entities, okay? So that is the way. Now in this chapter, coordination chemistry, you'll also come across certain terms which they can ask you to write in the exam. So there is one term like coordination polyhedra. So what is the meaning of this coordination polyhedra? It's basically the shape, the geometry which the coordination compound assumes after that compound is formed, okay? So how do we write it? We write like spatial. What is the meaning of spatial? It's an adjective, so it means of the space, okay? Of space. So how in the space you're going to arrange these secondary valencies? How are you going to arrange these ligands? So whenever these ligands are arranged around the central metal atom or ion, they will be definitely arranged in some pattern, some geometry. So that particular geometry is called as polyhedra, okay? So what kind of polyhedra you people can have? We can have octahedral polyhedra, octahedral shape. That means it will be due to the presence of 6 ligands. Tetrahedral we can have due to the presence of again 4 ligands. Square planar again we will have due to the presence of 4 ligands or 4 secondary valencies. I'll just give you some idea about 4. For example, I can draw like this, like for example, copper is surrounded by water molecules, so I can draw it like this. What kind of geometry am I showing you? It's of course a square planar. How do I say it is a square planar? I say it is a square planar because it is having 90-degree orientation. You can see it's 90 degree. This is 90 degree. This is 90 degree. This is 90 degree. So everywhere it is 90 degree. So that is why this is going to be called as the square planar polyhedron or square planar geometry. So for coordination number 4, that means whenever you have 4 secondary valencies like 1, 2, 3 and 4, then that kind of thing will be called as the square planar. Similarly, you can have something like this Ni 1, 2, 3, 4. So what kind of polyhedron is this? This is a square tetrahedral, because the angles over here are how much? 109 degrees 28 minutes. 109 degrees 28 minutes. And what are you going to place over here? What are you going to place over here? Of course, you're going to place over here the ligands or the secondary valencies. Similarly, octahedral will be how it will look like, which we already know. We can just show it like in a general way in the board exam like this. So we can denote the metal by the letter M, and we can denote the ligands or the secondary valencies by the letter L. So this is the way we are going to draw, and of course we will also show the arrow which will be going from the ligands to the central metal atom, because the ligand is the Lewis base and the metal is the Lewis acid. So I'm sure you understood the meaning of coordination polyhedra. It is a plural and the singular will be polyhedron. It is the geometrical shape which the coordination compound assumes when it is formed, and it is happening because of the presence of certain hybridizations. Okay, so I'll just quickly give you the basic idea about what kind of hybridizations did we study in class 11th, and also in class in 11th I think you studied, and you're all using that knowledge in class 12th. Like for example, we are going to encounter the hybridization of sp3, because this is going to have a coordination number of 4, and it's going to give you the shape of tetrahedral. Okay, so the polyhedron is going to be tetrahedron. then you can have something like dsp2. So when you're using the inner d orbital and the outer s and the outer p orbital, so that becomes your dsp2 hybridization. So what is the coordination number over here? You can see 2 plus 1 plus 1, that is how much is the coordination number? Of course it's going to be 4. What do you mean by that? It means that we have got 4 ligands surrounding the central metal atom. And what kind of geometry are you going to get, bacho? So you're going to get the geometry of square planar. What angles will you have? Just now I told you the MLM angle is going to be 90 degrees. What is the angle going to be in sp3 MLM? So MLM, what is this MLM, what I'm talking about? MLM is nothing but, how do you study in mathematics the angles? So if I write M over here, the L over here and the M over here, so the vertex of this angle is the ligand. So what is angle? Okay, so how do you denote it in chemistry? So you denote it like MLM and then you just draw a symbol like this. So the MLM, that is the angle MLM, is going to be equal to 109 degrees 28 minutes in the case of sp3 hybridization. Then you are going to study in this class 12th sp3d2 also in the coordination compound. So what is the number over here, total number of ligands? You can easily guess, right? So 3 plus 2 plus 1, that is coordination number is going to be 6. What is the geometry? Of course the geometry is going to be octahedral, right? And what kind of angles are you going to have in that? So let's discuss that also very quickly. So the figure in which we discuss, this figure only, this one, I'm talking about this figure, okay? So in this figure, when we discuss, the children, the angle over here is going to be, these four. So they are going to be in one plane. So the angle over here is just exactly like, square planar, that is 90, 90, 90, 90. But there are two, there are two angles, there are two bonds, these ones. This is the first one and this is the second one. So these are going to be the axial bonds, which you already studied in 11th standard, right? So I'll just draw the shape once again, like this. So look at this. I'll just draw a rough figure. So these perpendicular, they're all perpendicular, right? This is 90, 90, 90 and 90, okay, because the total has to be 360 degrees. So these blue color bonds, which you already understood, they are the which kind of bonds are these? These are, they are going to be the plane, right? Sorry, not the equatorial, they are in the plane. So they are, it looks like, a square planar kind of geometries. So these are one bond, and there are two bonds which are actually, going to be perpendicular. So this is also perpendicular. So all the angles here we can say are perpendicular only. So you can have two types of, hybridizations here. One can be sp3d2 and the other one can be d2sp3. And the coordination number again for this is going to be 6, and the geometry is again going to be the octahedral. Same, exactly the same, but only difference will be that in the first one we are using outer orbitals, you are going to use 4s, you're going to use 4p, you're going to use 4d orbitals for hybridization. But in the second one, that is this one, you're going to use an inner orbital of d and outer orbital of s and p. Like for example, I'll just give you 3d, you will use 4s and you will use 4p. So I am sure you understood this concept. When you write d inside, it means you're using an inner d orbital. So that kind of complex, the compound which you're going to make will be called as, because you're using inner orbital, so it will be called as inner orbital complex. And of course, you might have easily guessed, since in this one, that is sp3d, you're going to use d2, you're going to use outer orbital, so it will be called as outer orbital complex. Clear? So these are the questions which will be asked in the exam. So please study accordingly. Let's finish up these few terms. Coordination entity. This already we have discussed. Coordination entity is that particular thing or the species which is enclosed inside a square bracket consisting of a central metal atom or ion surrounded by ligands. Very simple. So any example, I would request you to please remember or memorize certain examples, or you can create your own examples also in exam. So the best example, I would suggest you take cobalt or chromium and attach it with some neutral ligands like water or ammonia. How many times? 6 times, because cobalt generally has got the coordination number of 6. It is fixed, okay? The secondary valencies are fixed, but the primary valencies are variable. And of course, the cobalt's oxidation state is +3 most of the times. So naturally, if this is 0, the entire coordination entity will also be +3. So here, children, this complete thing including the plus 3, including the charge, is called as the coordination entity. Let me just rub this. So clear, I think so this is clear to you. This particular entity, what is that entity? Central metal atom or ion surrounded by ligands is called as coordination entity. What is the central metal atom or ion? Of course, we know in the coordination entity, the atom or ion to which a fixed number of ions or groups. What do you mean by fixed ions or groups? Ligands. So certain children can just write ligands abound in a definite geometrical arrangement. What geometrical arrangement? Just now we discussed it could be tetrahedral, it could be square planar, it could be octahedral, right? So in this manner, you can discuss a lot of examples. Okay, now I have some examples for you. Okay, yeah, some interesting questions over here. So here in this, we can see that, the first example like CuNH3 6 3+. So they're asking you, what is the central metal atom? Of course, the first one is central metal atom. What is the ligand? The ligand is ammonia. What is the charge on the ligand? 0. What is the oxidation state of the cobalt? +3. Okay, so what is primary valency of cobalt? It is so I've just written in shortcut like primary 1 degree and secondary 2 degree, but generally avoid writing such things in the board exam. Just write the full words. Okay, please remember that point. So primary valency of cobalt is how much? +3, because that is the oxidation state, and secondary valency of cobalt is 6, because those many bonds cobalt is making with the ammonia, like this 1 2 3 4 5 6. Okay, so what is the coordination number? 6. Let's go to the next one. In the next example, nickel is a central metal atom or ion. It's not an ion. Sorry children, it's not an ion, it's an atom only. Because when we just look at the structure of NiCO4 or the formula of NiCO4, which we have already discussed before, the total charge is 0. The carbon monoxide, that is carbonyl ligand's charge is 0. So of course this is also 0. So the central metal atom here is nickel. And what is the oxidation state of nickel, children? 0. So oxidation state is nothing but the primary valency. So the primary valency of nickel is 0. What is the secondary valency of nickel? It's 4, because carbon monoxide is a monodentate ligand, so it can just make one bond. So Ni will be attached by 4 different sites, 1 2 3 4. So the secondary valency is going to be 4. What is the coordination entity in this case? This complete thing itself is the coordination entity. Okay. Now let's go to the next one, the last one, K4FeCN6. Now in this K4FeCN6, what is the central metal atom? Don't think that potassium is a central metal atom, because it is not inside the square bracket. So whatever is inside the square bracket, that is a central metal atom or ion. Of course, in this case, iron is the central metal ion, because it is in the ionic state. How do you know this? Of course, by doing the rough work like this. Potassium's charge you have to first write down. Okay, so charge on potassium, everyone knows K ka +1 है, so it will be 4 into +1 is 4 plus. So the entire charge on this FeCN6 will be how much? -4. Cyanide's charge is how much? -1. So -1 into 6 is -6. The charge on iron is going to be +2, right? So you can just I'm a little fast in this, but I'm sure you by practice you will be able to do that. So the charge on iron is +2. So the oxidation state of iron is +2. That is nothing but the primary valency. Then we go to the secondary valency. Of course, cyanide is monodentate ligand, so it is going to be connected by 6 bonds. So the secondary valency is going to be 6. Secondary valency is going to be 6. Clear? What is the counter ion in this case? Potassium is the counter ion because it's outside the square bracket. What is the counter ion in NiCO4? There is no counter ion because it's just a whole entity. There is nothing. There is no cation. There is no anion. But in the first example, yes, there would have been one counter ion because cation is given to us and the anion is missing. So the anion would be the counter ion. Let me just check now what more further topics we have to discuss. Yeah, so I think we are on the last topic of the. Sorry, there are some more topics I think which we'll be covering up in the next session only because it's a little longer one. So chelate and all will I think cover up in the next session. So thank you so much everyone, and I would just request all the children that please be sincere towards whatever your teachers are teaching in the class right now. I am sure the portion would have almost got over in your schools. So revise, and when you get time, do not waste. You can just watch such videos like this and just brush up your knowledge so that you can score full marks in the board examination. Wishing you all the best and see you in the next class, and we'll come up with the next video. Thank you so much. Bye bye. God